From baggage claim to pajamas in 10 minutes. Erie International Airport. Fly with ERI.com.
Fly Erie International Airport to Charlotte on American Airlines, your nonstop gateway to the world. Also, we have Breeze Airways flying nonstop to Orlando and Tampa, Florida. A great low-cost carrier providing excellent service to the regional community. Fly Erie International for your travel needs.
Fly with ERI.com.
You have been called
to do good,
to feed the hungry,
to love with action,
to be a light in the darkness,
to love your neighbor,
to teach wisdom,
to walk humbly,
to love mercy,
to care for the least of these.
Will you accept the call?
This is our city.
Our mission.
Visit eriecitymission.org/volunteer to accept the call today.
Welcome to TalkErie.com's Joel Natale Show, Erie, Pennsylvania's daily podcast. Every day, we tackle the biggest issues that the Erie, PA region faces. Stay informed and involved as we advance the narrative of Erie. Now, here's Joel Natale.
We're glad to welcome back to the microphone Mary Bula, the Executive Director of Erie Together, the community's anti-poverty initiative. Mary, great to see you.
Nice to see you too. Thanks for having me.
What'd they say in Mean Girls? You're making fetch happen?
I don't know what they said, but I'm not a mean girl.
No. I've used that term, making fetch happen, and then I looked it up and like, oh, that's from Mean Girls? I thought that was before that. Anyway, You're making stuff happen, right? You're making you're making forward momentum go on. And it's always good to kind of start at the very beginning. It's a very good place to start. Remind people what Erie Together is, how it started, what the foundational mission is, right?
So Erie Together started back in 2008, 2009 in response to a study that came out through the Erie Community Foundation that was taking a look at poverty and the breadth and depth of poverty here. And there was a panel that they put together that released a study, and it was called the High Cost of Poverty, It Impacts Us All. And it just really identified the sorts of things that were associated with poverty at that time and the level of poverty that we had here. And so there were a number of organizations that came together and decided they wanted to do something about it. They looked across the country into Canada. They determined that an anti-poverty movement that would be really grounded in a collective impact approach was the way to go. And so they brought in a national consultant. They talked to 700 people to really identify what the mission of Erie Together should be. And they launched Erie Together in 2009, and it went countywide in 2010.
Wow. I think I've been involved maybe 2013 or so, about over 10 years.
Right. It's been a very long time. And our objectives and the kinds of work that we do in the community are identified by the community. So, the things that we've focused on are challenges and priorities that our community has identified as important. And the reason Erie Together works is because we're bringing together people from all different walks of life, all different backgrounds, personal and professional, to address these priorities on behalf of the community.
I think it would be good for folks to understand kind of, peel the layer back of, or peel the curtain back on how like an Erie Together collective impact meeting goes, because you have people that represent everywhere from direct care individuals, maybe people in care, of some degree or another, getting services or whatever, CEOs, you have everyone from, just all these different places that are connecting with people. And they're all coming together to decide what are priorities. And so the level of separation from someone receiving help and what the community might be deciding is a very, very short and narrow, it's very close connection. It's basically, it's like a street level vibe of being able to understand what are the community priorities. And they've kind of changed and ebbed and flowed over the years, right? I mean,
they have. So the one thing about Erie Together that's really important is that mission has stayed intact, right? So Erie Together was created to help organizations and individuals work together differently to make this a region, community where everyone can learn, work, and thrive. So everything we do falls within that learn, work, and thrive arena. With respect to learn, we're trying to help more young people become successful adults. And with respect to work, we're trying to help more individuals secure and maintain family sustaining jobs. And with respect to thrive, we want more families to become self-sufficient. So those are really the parameters by which we do our work, but the priorities that fall within them are being driven by people from all different walks of life, no matter what type of organization you work for, whether you're young, whether you're old, whether you're an interested citizen, whether you're an employer, it does not matter. When you come into that room, your voice is heard and everybody is welcome to be there. And that's what makes Erie Together successful.
there's no doubt about it. I love how you really use a data-driven approach. I mean, we're trying to do best practices and things, but also, like that ear to the ground. What is the community saying? What are individuals experiencing? And, what I've gotten out of it is just like you just said, I can be heard from my sphere of influence or my perspective. And even as I've kind of changed jobs and kind of seen things differently from different positions, it's been interesting how you can really contribute as part of that collective action.
Yep. And you know what I really love about it too is people walk into that room and they bring their perspective, but they put their personal agendas aside for the greater good of the community. And when you start thinking that way differently, this is not about what I personally can get out of this or what is good for my singular organization. It just opens up a world of possibilities to do all kinds of additional things that everyone can benefit from.
Talk about poverty, because every community has it. Erie's not that much different, is it?
Well, Erie has, high numbers, right?
Right.
And it's, you hear all kinds of organizations who are somehow tied to reducing poverty talk about the idea that this is a marathon, not a sprint.
Right.
Right. And I look at the poverty statistics and I recognize that we may not be moving the needle from year to year in a downward way that we want to see that happen. But what I can control and what we at Erie Together can control is the kind of work we're doing and understanding the impact it's making on people and then making adjustments on our work, knowing that, for instance, education is key to preventing and reducing poverty. What can we do in the educational arena to help better prepare kids for their future?
Yeah.
And are those things that we're doing making a difference for those kids? That's the way we can look at it. For us to take a look at the big poverty percentage number and say, well, we haven't moved it, exponentially from year to year, that's too hard for us to understand or control.
So you're breaking it down demographically, let's say by age or whatever. Or you're breaking it down by neighborhoods. How do you celebrate the wins, I guess is the question.
All right, so let's take an example. So we've done a tremendous amount of work in the skilled trades arena. And we know... And
the reason why we're doing that is because that totally leads to family sustaining jobs, right?
Right. Those are very, very well-paying jobs that we know the community and generally and young people and even educators didn't know how to access information about to the level it was needed to be able to promote those kinds of opportunities. And if you think about the skilled trades, they're out doing the work, right? They're building the things around us, and they have people that are designated to go into the community and help people understand what these opportunities are. But again, that's the manpower to focus on that specifically is not as high as, it could be with additional help.
We discovered that there was a lot more infrastructure to have a child go through to college, which, again, we need kids to go to college, but if they were not college ready or, college material, there wasn't there really wasn't a whole alternative pathway, to go into a trade because of just, like you say, the lack of capacity, let's say, of the plumbers union to recruit for apprenticeships or what have you, right?
Right. And it's not even a situation of, it's a lack of capacity or you're not college material on behalf of a young person. These jobs are very highly skilled.
100%.
And so the kinds of things we're doing yesterday, for instance, we held a skilled trades fair for middle schoolers. We brought 7th and 8th graders in. We had 119 kids there.
Wow.
We had 7 trades unions represented, and the trades unions talked to the kids about what the opportunities were, and then they also had hands-on activities for them to do. We also had a whole contingent from Erie County Technical School there talking to the kids about what they're studying at the high school level to prepare them for these kinds of trades. I'm telling you what, one of those young people who was studying machinists at Erie County Technical School showed me the machinist's handbook and opened it up. That is high level math. These jobs are highly skilled. And so for people who like to work with their hands and who are able to learn that kind of math, I couldn't do it.
Right.
Me
neither.
And I was college material,
Mm-hmm.
and that was so impressive. But anyways, what I wanted to tell you was these kids, we brought them in, we surveyed them. We've gotten 77 responses out of the 119 kids that were there. 100% of those kids said they increased their knowledge in skilled trades careers. Wow. 99% they said that they were now more aware of the skilled trades job opportunities we have in the region. 95% gained a better idea of their interest in pursuing a career in the skilled trades. So what we're doing is raising awareness and exposing them to these kinds of things so that they have something else in their toolbox that they can consider.
And explain why the 7th and 8th grade is crucial. You have to catch these kids before high school so they can start making the pathway, right?
Exactly, because these kids are, depending on what area, there are 3 career and technical schools in the county at the high school level. Erie County Technical School, then Corey School District has its own, and Erie High has its own. These kids need to make decisions about whether they're going to pursue a career in technical education in high school early so that they can start preparing for that and so that they know that's what they're going to do. And these programs fill up, right?
They do.
So we need to help them think about whether or not that's the route they want to go or whether they want to go strictly an academic route.
I'm amazed at so many kids coming together at your event yesterday. And what were some of the clusters that they were learning about? Was it pretty much kind of all represented by the union trades, or?
Yesterday's event was specifically to bring visibility to the skilled construction trades.
Yeah.
And so we had 7 skilled trades there. We would have had 8, but somebody was out with the flu.
Sure.
So we had the bricklayers, the plumbers, the operating engineers, the roofers, the steam fitters. We also had the frost group, and then there was one where I'm not coming up with it right now, but all of the stations were very well attended. It was just a really nice interactive event, and that is one thing of several that we've done in this skilled trades arena since we got engaged in this work in late 2021 and really got into it full force in 2022.
And the concept that we've been hearing about at Erie Together is the opportunity of a pre-apprenticeship going into apprenticeship, right? Isn't the pre-apprenticeship can be part of, is it high school or immediately after high school? How does that work?
You can have pre-apprenticeships associated with these. What the unions are doing specifically are apprenticeships. And so you go through high school, you apply for an apprenticeship, you take the test, you get an interview, and then you're selected or not selected. So that's how that works. But you can establish pre-apprenticeships in a lot of different types of pathways to prepare kids. We have one running right now in partnership with Penn College of Technology, which is an advanced manufacturing pre-apprenticeship. There are 13 kids going through that, 10 from Union City and 3 from Northeast School District.
Wow.
Yep, and when they come out, they'll have an advanced manufacturing certificate, and it will prepare them to enter into the manufacturing arena in a number of different fields at that entry level.
That's super cool. What is that? That's based out of Williamsport, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So they send somebody over sometimes? Or?
Yeah, so here's what happens. So I was every year except this year, I've attended this Pennsylvania Association of Career and Technical Administrators conference, and I'm usually speaking about the work we're doing in Erie County. And 2 years ago, not this past year, but the year before, I was there and I heard a presentation by Penn College talking about this pre-apprenticeship opportunity. And so I said, would you be willing to bring it to Erie? And they said they would. And so we found an instructor locally to do this under Penn Colleges of Technology's umbrella and structure and everything. And it's been going very well. They'll wrap up in late April and they'll take their test, and we're going to actually recognize them at the beginning of May.
This is not easy work. I mean, this is family after family, child after child, trying to kind of find their fit, find their pathway, and but the end goal is to get that family-sustaining job in Erie and really shore up. One of the topics we've been talking about lately is this population loss thing. You know, I think the number one bullet point that we can do to stem population loss is to have a powerful, skilled workforce of this new generation to replace all the boomers that are retiring. I mean, all your employers have got to be talking about that.
Oh, they are. And you're exactly right. And that's why we're doing what we're doing, because if you think about everything that we're hearing from employers and how all of this works, it depends on employers engaging with the future workforce to expose them to these careers and to offer them opportunities for job shadows and internships and, you know, to get them in their business and help them understand how things work. And we've been very fortunate that our community has really rallied around this kind of thing for K through 12 in all of those different types of pathways, whether it be arts and communication or engineering and industrial technology, science and health, business, finance, information technology, human services, whatever it is. You know, the community really has said, look, we need to do this. This is our future. And we need to be providing opportunities for kids to see what we're doing here so that they can really seriously consider this as an option.
Talk about your partnerships with some of the other agencies and organizations that are in the workforce realm. You know.
Yep. So we work very closely with Northwest PA Job Connect as one group. So Northwest PA Job Connect has been a critical partner for us because, number one, they're able to supply us with data that employers are giving them around where the greatest need is, what are those high priority occupations, and we use that to drive the kinds of programs we offer.
So what can you define what a high priority occupation is?
A high priority occupation, they're identified regionally. So Northwest PA Job Connect covers a 6-county region. Erie County is one of those regions. Periodically, I'm not sure I should know this, but it's either every year or every 2 years, they go out to employers. They deploy a significant survey and say, where are your most pressing needs over the next X number of years? And then they collect that data and they turn it around and say, this is what our employers are saying we need. Right. So these are the high priority occupations. And if you get on that list, it becomes important because then for those positions that are there, it makes them eligible for training dollars to help train people up, right, to fill those positions. And it helps us identify where we should be focusing efforts with the greatest belief that young people could get jobs in those areas because our region is saying we need them.
So it's just basically saying we may not need this X position. There may not be a ton of space for, I don't know, for talk show hosts. I'll put it on, there's not a whole lot of opportunity for talk show hosts, but there's a lot of opportunity for, certified nurses' aides or bus drivers.
Yep. So, and what this list does, and I brought it.
Is it ranked?
Is it ranked? It identifies what the positions are, what level of education you need, what you can expect on average from a salary perspective, and what the expected employment needs would be. So this
and the growth potential. Yeah.
So this drives so much of how we do our work. So that's one thing, one way we partner with them. But another way is they have been a tremendous partner of ours in terms of helping us secure funding to be able to provide these kinds of opportunities for young people.
Do you feel like, what I'm hearing from the Shapiro administration is a very strong focus on economic development and workforce. Are we starting to see that here in our region, do you think?
We've been focused on it for a long time.
Right. But as far as money and investments in the workforce space, you think?
So I'm really hesitant to comment on that because a lot of the money is funneled from the federal government to the states, and with so much uncertainty right now, I can't comment. All I can say is I hope it continues, because I think this is among the most important activity that can be done to shore up communities and the people who live in them and the employers that choose to have their businesses there.
All year round, Frontier Home Products and Design has what you need to make your home comfortable and beautiful. Relax on a new timber tech deck designed by Frontier's experts. A new fireplace from Frontier Home Products Fireplace Gallery adds warmth and serenity to any home. Beauty and versatility at Frontier Home Products and Design Center, 4213 Peachtree, East 5th, next to the Bayfront Highway.
Frontier Home Products and Design Center. Discover a new frontier.
PA contractor number PA039007.
Get paid to drive. Start a new career behind the wheel at the EMTA. If you are looking for a high-paying and rewarding career with full benefits and paid training, stop by or apply online today with the EMTA. Plus, EMTA riders can now enjoy free Wi-Fi on new, clean, and environmentally friendly buses to travel all over Erie County. Visit ridethee.com for more information.
Get on board EMTA. Get on board EMTA. Get on board.
Quickfill gasoline is made right here in America. United Refining Company, who operates Quickfill, refines its gasoline from North American crude oil in Warren, Pennsylvania. When you buy United Refining Company gasoline at Quickfill, you keep jobs and businesses in America. And you keep American families strong. You don't need to send your money overseas when you buy gasoline. Buy American-made gasoline at Quickfill. Quickfill, driving America.
Like you say, this is not a sprint. This is a marathon to get to the goal of eradicating poverty and make. What are the three prongs again for Erie Together?
It's learn, which is helping more young people grow up to be successful adults. Work, which is helping more individuals secure and maintain family-sustaining jobs, and then thrive, which is helping more families become self-sufficient.
All right, I don't want to put, go political on you or whatever, but there is this narrative by people of my age. Okay, so people of a certain age that happen to be my age, that think that the younger generation, that the Gen Zs and what are the alphas that are coming up, that their work ethic, or that they don't want to work and nobody wants to work, and there's this whole thing. Have you heard that from your employers?
Yeah, I mean, have I heard it from the employers? I hear different things from employers, and we pose it more like it's important for young people to be able to communicate, to have good problem solving skills, to be able to work intergenerationally with people that are older than them and have been on the job longer.
You're trying to instill these skills into the young folks.
Right. And let me tell you something that happened yesterday, and I was so happy and amazed to see this. So as part of this event we held yesterday, there were a half a dozen Erie County Technical School students that we pulled up on stage and did an impromptu panel with. And I made up some questions about, what drove your interest in this, et cetera.
These are high school students.
High school kids. And I asked, one of the questions was, what has surprised you, or what have you learned that maybe you weren't expecting? And one of the young people talked about, having to work with people with different personalities and sometimes with people you don't like, and having to get through, complicated situations and et cetera, et cetera. And he was articulating the need for problem solving skills and good communication and teamwork and all of that. And I was able to repeat that back. And it was just so amazing to hear somebody place value in what they were learning that was not a specific job like technical skill, but those employability skills that we all know are so important.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of times we talk about the soft skills of, coming to work on time and dressing and, looking at somebody in the eye and shaking their hand or whatever. But those are almost more advanced emotional intelligence skills of how do I work with somebody that I don't really like, or how do I navigate generational differences. Tell you what, that's whoever their parents are, they should be proud, right?
Right. I was blown away because that's exactly what you want young people to be able to recognize. And those are the kinds of things that are being articulated by employers as important. What we'll often hear is, I can train them to do the job, but I can't as easily train them in those things. They have to come with that. And that's why, we have to work with them very early on, instilling the importance of those things. And so that's why we're doing some of the things we're doing, like our profile of a graduate that we created that articulates a lot of those things.
I would imagine that the folks that showed up at your event yesterday, the young people from the VOTEC, from the Erie County Technical School, that their work ethic is there, right? That their willingness to stay and be resilient and have the grit to grind out the issues are there. And that's one of those soft skills that we need to make sure that are instilled in that profile of a graduate.
Right. And that's one of the points I made from the stage to the 119 kids that were there,
seventh and eighth
graders, and said, look, it's important for, they were listening to their peers essentially. Right. And so, but my point to them was the fact that you're here and you've made the decision to come to this event and see what you could learn and hear from these people that are closer to your age shows that you're taking the right steps, right? Because, when I was young, it was nice to do things like that, but it wasn't, the amount of importance that was put on it wasn't as great, you know? And so to have kids and families and schools be proactive in that regard, I think is really tremendous.
This may not be the point of focus of Erie Together these days, but I'm just, we have a lot of conversations here, and a big thing that comes up is financial literacy, and we kind of reflect back to the concept of, well, they used to have home ec, and they used to teach you how to fill out a checkbook, and what a credit card meant, and all that stuff, and that certainly is part of the avenue out of poverty, is to understand about money and things. And again, you're focusing on so that people can get work and get a career and a pathway. Do you feel like does the school system, does the K-12 school system need a nudge to really advance financial literacy? I know like McDowell has a really good program that they've adopted, and it's kind of starting to get popular again,
Yeah, so there are new requirements that have come out from the state that that's the nudge.
Okay.
That districts are getting, but I want to just point out too, we talked a little bit about this profile of a graduate that we created and approved back in 2023 that schools are now implementing and we're taking out into the community. One of the pieces of that profile of a graduate is around being financially savvy. So understanding finance concepts, differentiating between needs and wants, knowing how to budget with short and long-term objectives, understanding the value of investments for retirement, understanding payroll deduction and taxes. So that's a piece of the work that we're doing in the community, and we're actually creating some resources for the community to use to help teach those kinds of things.
So yeah, that's a whole big section of the profile of a graduate.
Right.
Wow. Do you see that the profile of a graduate, along with whatever the state requires as, what you need to know by being a graduate in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, are they going to go? Should they be going hand in hand? Of that pursuit of that student. I mean,
absolutely, and I think they are. The school districts have had the profile of a graduate that we created in conjunction with them and employers and social service agencies and government officials and parents and children. They have had this since June of 2023. And so they are using this in various ways within their districts.
What's some of the cooler ways that you've seen the district utilize?
Well, Northeast School District has really taken it to a pretty big level, incorporating it with all of the kinds of things that their sort of their framework of teaching in the district. They're matching it up with some of the standards that they're working on, and they're utilizing it that way. Girard School District is another one, for example, that the very first thing they did was they took it and they made this profile of a graduate, the screen on every student's whatever that they
their
have,
iPad
their
or whatever,
iPad
yeah.
or their Chromebook, whatever it is they have. So you can't open your computer without seeing this. They also
this is what you're aspiring to,
right? Exactly.
Yeah.
And they also took it and they simplified it for the elementary school level, so it was more, that age that K through whatever 3 age group could understand the concepts. So that's just a couple. I don't know what everybody's doing, but they're using it in different ways.
That's pretty exciting stuff because again, this is the beauty of the community action model that Erie Together is that it's like, hey, superintendents, you guys bought into this. You guys contributed to it. You agreed on it. Now let's make it happen, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's same thing for, hey, parents. A cohort of your peers, worked on this, bought into it. Now let's make it happen. Students and so on.
Yep. And then because of the partnership we have with other organizations, we are going to be able to push this out through them. And we were able to secure some funding with Northwest PA Job Connect to translate this into a number of different languages, but also to develop an activity book and assessment that organizations and parents and caregivers across the community will be able to use, and we'll finish that up in June. So you hit on something really important there, though, is that when we work together in this way with lots of different stakeholders, we produce a product that one organization didn't have to do on its own, but that many organizations and, districts and community members can benefit from. And that's been, the history of Erie Together from very early on. Our first big win was around early learning and kindergarten readiness and all the resources we created for that school districts all endorsed, and we were able to push out into the community, and the burden didn't fall on one organization to create it. It was created by many under the Erie Together umbrella, and everybody benefited from it.
You're kind of like the ringleader or the ringmaster or something like that. How do you keep such disparate organizations working together? And again, I've seen you work. You're a wizard. But I mean, the key here is inclusivity,
right?
Like making sure that nobody's left out.
Right. Right. It's about recognizing from me, I'm talking personally. Yeah. I know that there are a whole lot of people out there that are smarter than me, that have the experience that I don't have, that have a lot to contribute to this work. And I respect and honor their perspectives, and I want them to feel that when they're in the room, right? And so as when Erie Together started very early on, I don't know if you remember this, but there were posters on the wall that said, here are our rules. Leave your personal agenda at the door. That used to drive me crazy because I thought, we're all grown ups. We're going to leave our personal agendas at the door. But it was so key to keep grounding everybody in that, because when people walk in that room, they know it's about the greater good of the community. And we respect all positions, no matter who they are, what position they hold, what age they are. We take it all in.
Do you ever look up at one of those meetings or, at the feedback that you get and say, hey, maybe we need to do some more outreach to this corner, that corner? I'm thinking about, like, for rural, people that are in the rural areas, is it tougher to participate in something like this?
I mean, I do that all the time,
do you really?
Because again, Erie Together is only as strong as the people who are engaged in the work, and the more perspectives we have, the richer the work can be, and the better the outcomes will be. So, the fact that we were able to transition a lot of what we did to Zoom over the pandemic, I think that opened a lot of doors, because if someone can't drive in for a meeting or can't get in for whatever reason, there's still an opportunity to participate, but it's never enough, right? We always want to have more people at the table.
Right. That makes a lot of sense. I'm down to my last 5 minutes with Mary Bula here. Again, moving the needle on poverty. And one of the things we talk about here is, sometimes a national report will come out, or a statewide report. Something came out like a month ago about Erie being the worst for poverty, the city, out of the top 10 largest cities in Pennsylvania. It's like, heck, how do we get out of these worst categories? We had the same thing with job creation about a year or two ago in the Wall Street Journal, like the worst city, or maybe next to Johnstown, in job creation, for the Commonwealth. I wouldn't mind being in the middle and being mediocre, but it's really awful to be worst.
Yeah. I think if we knew that, we'd be doing it, right? I think that I remember back to when Erie Together first started, and this national consultant, Jay Connor, was the one who was going around and having all these conversations, and he would say, just because it's hard doesn't mean you don't do it. It takes a lot of work, and it takes a lot of engagement, and that's why one of the things that we have specifically said through Erie Together that's important is to make sure that people who should have a seat at the table do. Another issue we have here that's such a challenge is transportation, and that's transportation barriers for people to get to work and people to get to services, healthcare, all of those kinds of things, education. That's why transportation is one of our priorities. We've been so heavily focused on that K through 12 age group, and now we're getting back into the early learning piece, so the pre-K piece. I mean, it takes a commitment on behalf of all of us, and if nobody has a magic wand, or we'd be doing it.
Sure.
I don't know the answer. I just know that we have to continue doing what we're doing that we know makes a difference, and if we are doing things that don't make a difference, we need to look at the outcomes of that and pivot and figure out what are some other alternatives that will, and it's going to take all of us to do that.
Yeah, I mean, you're playing the long game. Yesterday you were talking to 13 and 14-year-olds to say, hey, by the time you reach 18, you could be embarking on a really extensively cool life by getting these skills. But and again, that's where your focus is right now. In the broader 30,000 foot view, we have generational structural poverty that we need to continue to have conversations about and continue to tick at. And I love hearing, from folks like Erie's Black Wall Street and what Erie Bank is trying to do, just to try to build up some of these different neighborhoods and different cohorts so that they can be more sustaining. And then it's all about making sure that the jobs pay what they need to pay in order to survive in this town. It's a remarkable thing. So can we do an invite for next week, or we're
sure
booked?
I turned in the number today, but
Okay.
if people RSVP, if people want to come, get in touch with me and I'll up the number.
Okay, how do they do that?
So if we are having our Erie Together countywide action team meeting on Thursday, April 3rd from 9 to 11 a.m. at the Manufacturer and Business Association. If you want to attend and you haven't already RSVP'd, email me at mary@erietogether.org.
She'll take care of you. Thank you, Mary. I appreciate this conversation. Again, this is like moving mountains. This is I'll do a Prince of Egypt reference. This is Moses at the edge of the Red Sea and not knowing what to do, and the sea parts. I mean, I think we're going to have we're going to continue to have these small wins, and we're going to have some big wins as we move forward. Don't you think?
I sure hope so. That's what we're all working toward.
You've been listening to The Joel Natale Show, Erie, Pennsylvania's daily podcast from TalkErie.com. Subscribe to our show on your favorite podcatcher and get involved by emailing Joel@TalkErie.com.